Okay, we'll call this council work session to order. It's Wednesday, March 20th. The time is 2 p.m. I'll go ahead and open it up for visitor comments. If you'd like to come up and make a comment, please keep it to 3 minutes or less. State your name for the record. And we'll take notes of action if needed.
Tony Doggett, how you guys? So I heard a rumor you guys are thinking about moving 13 nights up to Woodhall Park. Is that true?
Discussion later.
Okay, well, as a local business owner, we've got a lot of challenges as it is with all the construction, and then you're gonna remove an event from this entire area and put it in the park where the boaters who come here won't be able to get there. We won't get any business. I mean, have you even thought about any of that part of how the impact there?
If you watch the later discussion, you'll understand why we're having this discussion.
Okay, so it's probably to do with the construction.
It
Well, as a business owner, I think it's a terrible idea.
is absolutely to do with the construction.
Okay, well, it's another thing that's just gonna kill us. I mean, you've got everything else going on that's killing us right now. And then you're just gonna do this too. I mean, there's surely you can make some accommodations to keep the event somewhere in town. I mean, try. At least, give it some effort or at least discuss it with the businesses who are gonna be hugely impacted.
I hope you'll stick around for the discussion later.
Yeah, I would, but I gotta go to work, so. But thank you.
Hello, Jane Garcia, 50 Plaza Square. So I saw on today's work agenda, continuation of Tony's, that the location for 13 nights is a discussion item today due to the construction project. And I understand that we've been down here all this time, but I'm feeling compelled to voice my opinion too. So as a downtown business owner and full city sponsor for the past several years, I think the plaza is the most logical area for the location for 13 nights. It's convenient. Let's face it, people don't like change. And people are used to coming downtown. They're used to being by the river. So, and I think keeping the events, especially during the construction time, as close to the original known location keeps that change to a minimum. And the support of our community needs to be a priority. We need the energy and enthusiasm for the downtown area if we want to see support for things like the Riverwalk project and any other future projects or plans that are involved. And the local businesses, we know they've been affected by construction, but they've hung in there. Events like 13 Nights or Halloween Town, 4th of July, any of the current events that happen down there bring business and income to the downtown retail spaces and restaurants. So moving 13 Nights or any event away from the downtown area, I think is detrimental. And it means lost revenue for those businesses. Supporting those businesses should be a priority. Please show them the respect as valuable components of the community whose livelihoods matter to you. They matter to the city. And looking at the big picture, their success and the support of the city is critical to moving forward with any future development. St. Helens needs their support and they deserve yours.
Well, I'm just going to make this announcement that we're not going to make a decision at this meeting, but I would encourage everybody watch exactly what is said today later. And then come back and give testimony after that. We will not make a decision today. But I would encourage you to make testimony after we give the facts.
Hello, my name is Molly Madchak. I'm here as a citizen. My apologies, Rick. I came down here to talk to you about 13 nights and just numbers. I'm gonna give you just straight numbers. March of 2022, I was just coming out of the winter slope. March to June on Thursday nights, I did $500 to $700. June to August, the 13-night series, I went up to $1,200 on Thursdays. The Thursday before 4th of July was on a Monday, 2022. I did $2,000. That is huge. That's better than a Saturday. I have an opportunity to reopen Molly's Market. Laura Griggs is opening up Molly's Market as Molly's Market, carrying the name. He's bringing his business over because he's outgrown his business. He's taking up a larger piece of real estate. He's taking his first business and adding a second business. If 13 Nights goes, that would be a shame. Please, please do not remove 13 Nights from the downtown.
Thank you. Any other visitor comments?
My name is Ron Ramos. Client privilege, the city council doesn't need it, and they were not an issue of my concern. My concern is John Walsh, but it could be the city's attorneys. When I asked John why he needed client privilege to resolve the issue of my obtaining a copy of the Walker report, John explained it was the lawyers who advised it. It's confusing trying to decide who's controlling the contents of the Walker Consultants report. This is a report investigating the 2 million gallon reservoir rehabilitation failure. This was to be a deciding factor for cause and responsibility. Seeking truth and opposing the city's claim of client privilege, it is hard to develop a trust in administration when you believe the report's contents are hidden from disclosure. City council meeting work sessions are interesting, but you don't find much satisfaction. You have 3 minutes to state your concern, but you realize you won't have any questions or comments from the council. This leaves the impression that the public comments aren't considered issues of any consequence by the city. The issues that prompt a newspaper interest seem to generate the most effect on the city administration. The riverfront and economics are the priority. 6 years of an empty reservoir are ignored and the public is kept uninformed. In June 2023, the city gave a tour involving contractors of the 2 million gallon reservoir site for design build reservoir replacement. Emery and Sons give a city a signed proposal July 11, 2023. Mohammed gave a 2 million gallon reservoir update on August 16th to the city council. Emery and Son were chosen as a contractor for replacement of the reservoir. Transparency is an important issue and notification that the public should be shown also. The city has a responsibility regarding replacement and in public notification. The city doesn't acknowledge concern of public awareness, and this results in the public not receiving an update. I can say I've been treated politely, and I have paid for information that I have acquired. Some questions have been unanswered in the city council, and the city's client privilege is a shameful source of irritation. My involvement is challenging, and I have not required the Walker report. The city council should seek answers. Number one, why wouldn't the city drain the 2 million gallon reservoir prior to contract bidding, leading to the 2 million gallon rehabilitation failure? The city should acknowledge that Walker Consultants report and involvement with the city and attorneys are using client privilege and setting a precedent for their actions. Thank you. Oh, I'm happy to say that I just learned that I could be a city attorney without even passing the law before.
I've made comments on this in the past, me and Mr. Ron Tomlin, and it's been misunderstood. So that's why I don't respond. And we've been coming and showing up for a long time on this, and you're right to have that to do that, but we have given you a response that we feel was by our attorneys was the correct response. So
But that doesn't answer the question that the public, anybody would want to know. If your car, you pick it into the garage, and broke down, they tell you what it is, you'd still like to know what's in it.
and this is literally the way it turns out. That's why I don't comment. It's not that we haven't commented and we have tried to resolve this issue.
Okay, go on. I could argue with it, but I don't want to, we don't need it, but it is an interesting subject. And you see no comment, what I would like to see is comment, because you can tell me something, but I like to see something that's in print, because to me, that's evidence. It's like, even John, I mean, I'm sorry, John, but when I ask John something and he replies to me that, I really don't have any proof that he said that.
So and again, your comment was you can be an attorney. Our attorney said that we should not dive into this.
That's what he told me.
So
So you see, but I couldn't prove that, but I don't like to say anything, write anything, or have the newspaper print anything that I really don't have evidence. But I did do that, because I figured he's probably an upstanding person who, if you pinned him down, he might admit that he did tell me that. Thank you.
thank you. Any visitor comments?
Steve Topaz, St. Helens Street. I'd like to make a statement that if the contract to continue Old Forester's investigation of the lagoon is made in a positive manner, which is one of the stupidest things this council has done. We had last go around a description of, it was actually a special meeting, of what the last investigation was. It was a kind of a farce. We heard about a number of the tests that were made. The important tests were not mentioned. No results were made. Some of the information that was presented in written, hopefully you read it, was also presented before, indicates you don't touch that piece of property whatsoever. Now, assuming you read it and don't understand, it's no big deal. That's where you ask for help. You ask the EPA, DEQ, the Army Corps, Fish and Wildlife, the tribes, river keepers, about the problems that would exist if you turn the lagoon with present information, not any additional information. You also remember as a counselor, you were told what the new study was going to hold and add to, and when it was done and reported on, they forgot a number of critical tests. Things you should worry about. If that device, the cooling pond, turned to a waste dump, what kind of insurance are you going to have to worry about? You're going to have to realize that for 20 years it's going to take to fill that hole up, and you've got another 50 years. The next thing that has come up, and I don't even know who carries insurance on waste dumps. We also have the problem that once upon a time we wanted an RV park over behind the rec center next to the stream, and then we found out there's an exclusion zone there. What's the exclusion zone on the Columbia River for anything? We just had a big thing with the tribes and the federal government. Now, the other thing that comes into this, and we're gonna worry about the fish. The fish don't know whether they're on the Washington side or the Oregon side. And if we're poisoning fish, and the statement said there was gonna be a flow out of this dump. The fish are gonna be bothered on both sides of the river, which means we've got to worry about what Washington's gonna say about this. We also have to worry about what the tribes are going to say. All of these things should be looked into and can be looked into right now without spending any money. Talk to the Army Corps, the EPA, find out what their regulations are. In the end of this year or summer, a lot of the percentages of toxins that you can dump is going to drop by 1,000%. So some of the things in that report that were okay are going to be a long way from okay. The other thing to remember is stuff leaking out of that lagoon toxic waste dump is upstream of our drinking water. In the report, and it was even mentioned by the geologist, that that levee will fail in case of an earthquake because of what's underneath it. Now, the thing that I find disappointing is the lack of confidence in our engineering department, because this is a technical problem. There are new people, Don, so uncomfortable with our engineering department. You had our government affairs person who's not technically trained, head this process up. So really recommend strongly you do not continue your involvement with Mole Forster until you get some other input and reviews. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other visitor comments?
Brady Freehang. So, first things, police department, I really would hope that you would consider other options for the current levy and, actually do a levy for more money and have a solution for the police station so that you can stop illegally billing our water bill. Even though you plan on adding it to our bill illegally if it doesn't pass. I think that if you market it and saying that we're going to get police and we're going to fix the station that we have and give them storage rather than build a new building, I think people would support it. I would support it. And I think you could solve that problem. And I think you could do it for 10 million bucks or so. And I would support it. I won't support a legal water bill forever, indefinitely. And so I wish you would do that. The Luba matter, hope you give up on that. I think that you've given up on it. I don't know, it's here again. I don't know what that means. It looked like the other day that you were maybe planning on bringing it back. I hope not. If you are gonna build a police station, which I disagree with, don't put it in that spot. And finally, the 13 nights on the river. I would hope that this is the conversation with your tourism. I guess your events coordinator is probably a proper title, that you would have that conversation. And that it would not be a telling them what to do. I have a feeling that this is another thing like the dirty dirt deal where you've already made your decision and are gonna tell her. By contract, she gets to decide. You can't tell her where to go. That's where her contract is. That is the definition of what an independent contractor is. So this conversation is something that you need to work with her on and not tell her, because if you tell her, she becomes an employee. And you don't want that. I don't want that. She doesn't want that. Have a conversation, and this is what she does for a living. And listen to what she says she thinks should be done, and not make a decision before you talk to her.
Stick around for that discussion, Brady.
I'm going to.
All right. Any other visitor comments? Okay, we'll go on to Zoom.
Robin Toski.
Can you hear me, Robin?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, great. Okay. Robin Toski, citizen of St. Helens. I grew up in St. Helens and graduated from St. Helens High School, class of 81. I remember fondly the vibrant Holton district. I support the city's plan to revitalize the Holton. I am encouraged by all the conversation with the planning commission and getting Main Street involved. I think it's great. It's sad to see how it's has all the holes and empty buildings in there. So I'm very disappointed with the choice to prioritize the police station in the industrial area. It's always been the industrial area over there out of town. I think the public was not invited into the process to choose it, and a lot of steps were not taken, like getting the planning commission involved early. And now we're in a spot where our public laws and public safety is at risk. So my first preference would be to see the money spent in the Holton, specifically the site next to the fire station. I think that would be a fantastic site. I understand a lot of you actually chose the Holton too. I didn't realize that till I listened to the meeting last week. Just want to make it clear, we do not want to stop the work moving forward on this project. We do not want to move the money to the waterfront project. We do want to act lawfully, recognize the flood maps, city's own hydrology studies, and just move forward in a positive way. We would like to stop the blame game. We get on the same team. I'm a very positive person. I believe in confrontations and I believe in collaborations. We're concerned that the project is going to get derailed as opposed to picking a new site. This is not our message. We want to move forward and be a part of it. It's a complicated process that we're in now. It requires more study and discussion. I'm willing to discuss with the city a compromise concerning the LUBA appeal. The compromise must involve ensuring overcoming the concerns regarding public safety will be the first priority. Also, there must be public acknowledgement of the mistakes that were made and expectations that we will go forward and this kind of mistake won't happen again. I believe a 45-day pause in the LUBA appeal will allow the parties to meet to discuss the issues. I think that option is available, which will keep the status quo. I believe a lot of this was caused by the architect firm overstepping their expertise in land use issues. They, in my mind, they owe a good chunk of the money back that we paid them for drawing plans on the site that was not even legally allowed. I think I've watched them multiple times in meeting. They're smooth. They talk a very good game. I'm sure they are very good and knowledgeable at what they do. I just think they overstepped in some of the guidance and we made some bad decisions because of that. I heard him the other night talking about what my favorite site is, the one next to the fire station encompassing the old police station. And I heard him giving advice on how difficult it was to move evidence. I don't even know if that's true, but I would certainly seek other counsel before I took that site off the plate because of that advice. Lastly, I just want to appreciate Councilor Chilton, Gunderson, and Sundin for the statements I've heard in the last few meetings and months about some mistakes that have been made and moving forward with good decision. Specifically, Councilor Chilton, I'm super impressed with your conviction to make changes. I've heard it multiple times from you, and that you want to learn, you want to do it right, you want to do a good job for our city. And I just want to thank you for that and say your courage is shining brightly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very good. Okay, any other comments? Okay. We're gonna go on to our first item, which is St. Helens Senior Center Semi-Annual Report, Executive Director Melissa Watson. Hi, Melissa.
Kathy, it's good to put a face to a name.
Yes.
Well, I haven't done this before, and this is slightly intimidating. Feel very small right now. But I sent the report over and I just want to say I managed Top Notch for a little over a year. And then I moved into the executive director position at the senior center in October of last year. So I tried to go back a full year for this report since we didn't have a report for you in September. So to start with the senior center, the center is open Monday through Friday for our congregate meals that we serve in-house. We have changed quite a bit of staffing in our center. We have a new home delivered meals coordinator because when we had one over to community action team to work on the other side of our program. And we have a receptionist that is making the center a home. So if you guys get a chance, I invite you guys all to come down to the center and see how welcoming and comfortable it is to come in there now. Come on a Friday, we have a live band. It's a hoot. We have started offering a great number of new classes and activities. So we have a computer class for our members and for the public that wants to come in. We have several exercise classes to get folks up and moving. We have a talented artist is teaching painting, and then we have our crochet and knit group. And we are starting karaoke which is becoming super popular in our center, so a karaoke hour. And also the thing that's been really cool is a lot of our members have started coming up wanting to host a class or start a class with the center, which is just awesome to see that. Our membership's currently sitting at 313 members at our center, so that is a 30% increase over the year before. So we're getting folks back out and doing activities in our center, which is amazing. And between our thrift store and center, we have about 110 active volunteers. And those are folks that are working in our kitchen, helping out with activities, our home delivered meals drivers, and the folks that help at the thrift store process all those donations that come in. We started a pet food drive in our center where we take pet food for cats and dogs for some members, home delivered meals persons that we distribute out now, because we did find that there was some evidence of people that were giving their delivered meals that we sent to them to their pets because they couldn't afford pet food. So that is something that community action teams worked on, but we've also stepped up to try to help supply that need. So that is a new thing that we got going on, because they should be getting nutrition and not getting that meal to their animals so that their animals can eat. Animals are family too. So that's going strong. And there's been quite a few members that have been sharing for that out on Facebook. So now we're getting overloaded, which is just great. We passed the wealth along. And our outreach and community involvement, just last Monday, I got to present to the Lions Club here about the different programs that we have going on. And we're also active in our AAA area planning committee. So we're involved in that and keeping that going for the AAA, the Area Agency on Aging. So trying to expand and get those niches where they're needed and, you know, definitely align with our mission to serve seniors and disabled in our community. And our community food pantry. So we do get a lot of donated items from partners that we cannot specifically use in our meal program, salt content, what have you. So we do have that out for our members and community members to come in and take part of it. They need to add some shelf-stable foods. Sometimes a lot of frozen meat that we'll get that we can't use, but have that available in our lobby. So trying a bunch of different programs in there to help our neighbors. Use of our building, we currently have AARP doing tax returns, and they're there 2 days a week. So it has been super busy where they're all booked out through the end of the month. So they're preparing taxes for the community Tuesdays and Wednesdays at our center. We regularly have scheduled Medicare representatives that are meeting our members and community members in our center to help them through that process. My mom just went through it and it's a lot. So having somebody there to help guide them through that paperwork. We've got a few clubs that are now meeting at our center. We have an eclectic crafters club, and it's just people bringing their own projects and hanging out. It usually turns into a gab session, but it's a good time. And I was just asked to start a D&D club. So we will be doing Dungeons and Dragons at our senior center. I am also learning to become a dungeon master so I can facilitate that, but hey, it's something new and fresh. So pretty excited about that. Just more pressure to be the dungeon master. And so we're looking at trying to get, you know, caregivers, support groups, dementia support group help, things like that, different clubs. We have that space, credible space for people to meet in. And so to get other organizations that can use it and help those in our community. We have some upcoming events. We have our Spring Craft Bazaar, April 13th and 14th, and we've already got over 20 vendors, so it's going to be our biggest one yet. So come shopping. Our top-notch jewelry sale on the 27th. And then we changed the time of year that we're doing our big fundraiser, dinner and auction. We're going to do that May 18th. We're transforming the dining room into an enchanted forest. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Getting the crafters in, getting people to dress up. That's going to be great. Tickets are on sale now for that. We have a great relationship with Public Works. I just want to shout out to Roger and Buck. Coming in new, not knowing who to contact and reach out to for things pertaining to the building. They've been right there and so helpful. They did the deck that goes off the back of the building. We found that somebody was cooking under there with a metal pot, fire right next to the wall. And it was illegal substances that were being cooked there. They went out within a few days and got that fenced in so that we didn't have that risk happening to the center. So a huge shout out to Roger for that. And then looking at our fire alarm system, it is failing. And we don't have any smoke detectors in our dining room. So Buck and Roger come out so that we could get some quotes on getting that happen. We did have, at one point the center was filled with smoke. It happened overnight. I never got alerted to it. We didn't find out till the next morning, and that's when we found out that the fire alarm system was failing. So that was kind of an important thing, because that's a home to a lot of people. It's a home to a lot of us, and it's, you know, a building that you guys have that it was at risk. So we're still getting quotes coming in for that. And then our Pinnacle Club is there till 10 o'clock on Monday night. Sometimes it was really dark and they were getting worried about how dark it was leaving the building. So Buck brought us some solar lights to put out in our parking lot, which was great. They felt safe going to their car, and that's worked out really well. Also, in January, I asked Kathy, I said, is there any way that somebody can come and plow our parking lot? Because our center was closed, but with all that snow and ice, our drivers were still there getting meals out, and we were worried about them slipping. And it was not within 5 minutes. They were down there getting our parking lot cleared for us to be safe. So huge shout out to them. Such a support to have. So go Roger and Buck. In our kitchen, in our home delivered meals program, we currently serve 182 community members in our county. Those are the folks that get the home delivered meals. And our area of service goes from Scappoose all the way up to Rainier. So we actually, for the home delivered meal recipients total in our county, we cover 64% of those meals. We do out of our own center. When I went and looked and combined the number of meals over the past year between the home delivered and the ones we served in-house, we were at 50,000 meals in a year that we served. And that number is just mind-blowing to me. It makes sense when we're doing 240 to 250 meals a day, but to see it capitalized in a year, you know, being able to say we served 50,000 meals is pretty cool. And our in-house meals are starting to rise. Definitely Fridays. Again, we have a live band, so the house is packed on Fridays. But something that was also cool, looking back over the year, from July 23 to December 23, we served 250 different community members. So those weren't duplicate numbers. Those are different people that came and had lunch and spent time with us at our center. So that was really exciting. Not only restructuring the front of the house, we restructured our staffing in our kitchen, and we added a kitchen manager position. Before we had a head cook, a cook, and an aide. This move has led to an improvement in accountability and execution of our food program. And we've seen a noted improvement in our inventory management, the program expenses, and execution of our contractual guidelines for our meals, you know, specific to recipes that we have to do with the AAA and the contract that we have for that program. And another thing that was just amazing with the folks stepping up in our community, when we had that inclement weather in January, 99% of our meals went out. I think there was only one individual that we were unable to get food out to because we couldn't get any rigs up there. But we had so many people step up. You know, a lot of people, if you don't like to drive in the snow, totally understand. But the backups that we had, even a local four-wheeler group, the shitbox wheelers, they volunteered to get meals out and deliver. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. For our thrift store, which our thrift store is a program of the senior center, we are still continuing to increase sales. So 2022 over 2019, because we're really open. We don't count 2020 and 2021 for sales. We had a 12% increase. We still had a 9% increase in 23 over 22. So we're still gaining in sales. And it's, you know, we're selling stuff for 25 cents, about $2. It's crazy to see that increase keep going. We did have all of our lighting at the store switched to LED lighting. So a new lighting project. With going from fluorescent to LED, we lowered our energy output by 64%, which is huge. And with that, we were able to we're getting a rebate back for the majority of the cost of that switch from the PUD. So because of the changing and lowering our energy output. So it was a win-win and a good time to do it. And with that, that's part of us, our store maintaining over a 50% recycle rate. We are closing shoes and purses, things that we can't sell. We drive into Portland and it gets recycled. We get money back from that for recycling those items. Lions Club is a huge partner. They take our books and our eyeglasses for their eyeglass program, recycle, and our plastic, recycle that. We have a local couple that do metal scrapping come and pick up our metal that we have. And because of our over 50% recycle rate, the county has waived our tipping fee again this year. So it's an expense that we're not having to pay, but is a kind of a wash for us keeping those items out of the landfill. So we're very proud of the recycling that we do, because we're back there scrubbing with everything to clean it and get it sold. We also have voucher programs through our store with St. Vincent de Paul and Medicine Wheel Recovery Services. So those folks that need items come in, they have a voucher, we collect about, what they're getting and we invoice the programs at a discounted cost. So it's a very nice way for them to get in and get, because we have just a little bit of everything at that store. So get them set up and on their way. We did have to close for safety and liability during that inclement weather at the store. And with being closed for about a week, we did lose about $10,000 in sales. So that was a little hit to our budget that month. But we're working on making it back up with continuing that increase of sales. And then what folks want to make sure that they understand is any monies earned by that store over expenses goes to the senior center to help us with food costs for our home delivered meals program. So shopping in that store is helping us feed the seniors and disabled in our community. So we're trying to blend and bind that connection more and show it, because we still have people that come in and don't realize that the two are connected, that we're working for the same cause there. And looking at financials over the last year, our fundraising events that we put on in-house earned a total of $16,640. That included the craft bazaars, block party, beef raffle, themed lunches, and the annual auction that we did last November. We were working on the congregate infrastructure grant, and it didn't end up getting funded. It was for a generator, and the generator that we got quoted was 99.9% of the fund amount. And we would still have to have a concrete pad put in to do that. When in October, when I took over as director, I reached out and asked for a change so we could get some more coolers and freezer space, something that we could work within that budget. And unfortunately, the change didn't get approved through the state. And the extension did get granted to get that change. So we did not get that grant, unfortunately, for our center last year. And then we've been fighting with the rise in food cost. We are averaging monthly right now about $18,000 a month in food costs. We are strict to the contract that we have. We have to serve that amount, these quantities. So we don't really have a lot of wiggle room as far as our contract goes for what we serve. It's a state contract. We're doing a really good job excelling at getting it produced now. And that's the kitchen manager is there to kind of try to have that time to shop around, price check. If it's easier to go to cash and carry or cheaper to go to cash and carry and get the certain things that we need. We needed to have somebody that could devote time to that with the increased rising costs. We had a month where it was 23,000. So 18,000 is an average. So that is something that we're fighting with. And we do get reimbursed. We don't get reimbursed for our full food cost from our programs or from the state, where an average meal, they quote that it costs around $8.50. Our reimbursement comes in a couple bucks a meal, is how that spreads out. So with our fundraising grants, things like that, that's how top notch, that's how we're working to cover that food cost. So that's a huge thing that we're working on right now. And again, trying to look through local partners to help out with that. But that's our biggest budget financial concern right now. Previous funding during COVID, the center was able to bring in and save a good cushion of money. And they saved it knowing that these costs were going to happen. And we are eating through those costs right now, and that funding is stopped because COVID funding is stopped. So we're getting, again, changing structure around, changing focus on how we're looking at our financials and getting that taken care of so we can move forward and keep providing this program that's needed in our community. And then be our board vice president. We're taking classes on grant writing to help out with the grant writing process. If anybody sees one, shoot me an email. I will be there. And increasing our facility rentals so that the building is sitting, well, we're not using it, it's just sitting there, including the kitchen. So trying to reach out to nonprofit organizations that are, doing a food fundraiser, but they need a commercial kitchen to prepare it in. That's just an asset that's sitting there when we're not using it in the mornings. So getting them to come and rent out that kitchen space, that's the facility bringing in funds that we can help towards our food costs. And also rentals for events. So this is part of transforming our auction, transforming that dining room into Enchanted Forest. Look what you can do. Right now you look at it, looks like a dining room. It looks like a cafeteria. Look what you can do with it though if you're creative to get those parties and different events going on in there. So the assets being used in a great way and helping out another event space for people in our community. And then lots of fundraising events, lots of craft bazaars, things coming up. We have our block party coming up in June. And then just working on the outreach and partnerships. So big networking out there. A lot of us folks we're doing the same work. It just may look different. And helping one other, each other out isn't taking from one another. It's just building that stability. So trying to work on the networking. That's what I got for my first time presenting to you guys.
Good job.
Thanks.
Questions? Sounds like you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I got a great team.
I'm with Avamere, work for Avamere.
Okay.
You were in for lunch, but you weren't there that day.
Oh, no. Were you there when our senior belly dancers came in and danced?
No, they came to Avamere too, though, so we also used them at Avamere, but I
Oh.
came in and they always come on Fridays when there's live music, so.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, our two gals, Letty and Linda, they went, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, went into Avamere to dance.
Yeah.
And they came back dancing. They had so much fun there, showing.
Residents loved it. It was awesome.
Come on down for lunch.
Good
So
job.
what does it take to get a membership for somebody that's not currently a at the senior center?
If they're not a member, it just come down. So we have our NAPAS form that is a contracted form that nobody likes to fill out, but we all have to. That form, and then it's $20 for a single, 32 for a couple. And that's really it. You give us the money, we give you the card. Our fiscal runs from July through June, so we'll be doing our membership drive again. Starting next month. Yes, for July. But honestly, you don't have to have a member to come on down and check it out.
Send out reminders for that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, cause.
Yeah. Yep, I will tell you, your aunt loves me. I said, no, I'm gonna tell them that you love me more. But yeah, and honestly, Fridays are just a fun day to come down because we do have so much active. We had the St. Helens Middle School came out, their choir came out saying Christmas carols, and they wanted to see how the band worked. And so the band played for a half hour, middle school did their performance, and then they stayed to watch the band. All those middle schoolers were out on the dance floor dancing, so then it amped up the band, so they're rocking out. It was the most happening time. We need to get kids in here more often.
It's a key, I'm telling you.
Yes, something. Yeah, no, come on down, have lunch.
So my question would be for running the center, for people that are watching, maybe, how do they go about that? Contact you, or they contact the office,
So
or?
you can just call our number, that'll take you to Danae, our receptionist, and if you have an email, we can send out the rental agreement form. It's $75 an hour, and we just gotta make sure that we don't have anything going on, but we've got, two rentals coming up soon. But it's just a great space, and all we ask is that you clean up and you don't break
It
anything.
is a nice space.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't recognize you with that hat on. I'm like, who?
It's like 12, so.
Police department's in my.
Yes, good afternoon, council. So, I'm here today to talk about our 7-hour report and, its timing with, our annual report that the police department puts out. And just to kind of give you a concept, you got it in your packet. It was put online today for our residents. It gives a snapshot of 2023 and what our police department and our police employees did for the community. It kind of covers everything. So I'm just going to highlight a few things in this report because, you'd have to read it. I feel it's pretty, in layman's term, elementary for our residents and council and everybody to understand of the work being done. But Kathy, if you go to page 11, just again, I don't want to rehash this, but I'll go over a couple things to highlight because although I am biased, I really do believe that we have one of the best police departments in the state of Oregon and what they do day in and day out. So on page 11, it kind of gives us a snapshot of how many police calls our officers responded to in 2020. And the reason this is important because our top 2 calls of what the officers respond to is assisting a citizen when they call in a suspicious person or vehicle and self-initiated calls. The reason that's important is because we share a luxury with our residents that a lot of agencies across the United States don't. When communities lose faith and confidence in their police department, they stop calling them. That is absolutely not the case here. Our residents call our police respond and solve problems. Secondly, is that the self-initiated activity falls in line with our mantra of policing with a plan and being proactive. Not just driving around, solving problems in our community to ultimately lower the crime and improve the quality of life. So, you know, when you look at that, you'll see that, you know, for consistently for the past 5 years, that has been our top number 2 calls, you know, that the citizens call us on. So page 16, Kathy. You could, sorry. So page 16 is gonna show, our use of force. And, after the incident, in Minneapolis with George Floyd, that was a hot button topic. Okay, a lot of police reform, a lot of enhanced training, which we embraced. So our police use of force incident in 2023, we arrested 570 individuals. Sometimes we have to make arrests. Some are mandated arrests. Out of those 570, police used force 8 times. In my 36 years of law enforcement history, I've never seen a use of force used this low, to be honest with you, 8 times. Now this, the number 1 use of force is takedowns, which correlates into somebody running from the police, and we have to take it to the ground. This is something I'm extremely proud of, and the men and women of the police department's proud of. We have trend down over the years. Last year was 4%, now we're at 1.4. This correlates into something I'm going to touch on. It starts with the hiring, making sure we hire the right individual for St. Helens, translations into a robust training program before they start the academy. They receive the training to become certified. Once they're backing us, we then do the training. The entire time we have leadership that's on, you know, engaged, not just supervision. There's a difference between leadership and supervision. We continue with their in-service training, and we have our mantra: accountability, transparency, and legitimacy of our officers. And this is reflected in this report right here. This is, if you go around the nation, I've never seen it this low, okay, out of that many arrests. So very proud of that. So something that I want to bring to your attention, and really the annual report speaks for itself. If you have any questions, you can either ask me after this or reach out to me. But I want to paint a picture of some of the successes that were, you know, recently. You've seen the newspaper. We've had a couple high-profile events in our community that we in St. Helens and in our adjoining communities that we assisted with. So we had a case recently where a female was being stalked by an ex-relationship partner. Came to us, and our patrol then started looking into, well, how does this individual know where you're at all the time? Because our patrol officers were intuitive, worked with our criminal detectives, we then found electronic tracking devices on this individual's car. Detective Matt Smith at the time researched the law and found out the law was 30 years old and the stalking law statute didn't account for emails, all the devices that we have now. So again, I just like to just kind of highlight the quality officers you have on your department. Instead of just saying there's nothing we can do, Matt took it upon himself to contact the legislator in Salem, testify in front of the legislature, just ended on March 7th, I believe, and get a new law on the books that is still waiting to be signed by Governor Kotak, but as soon as it's signed, it updates the existing law. How impactful that is for our residents, council, and our community as a whole is, this is an incident that, you know, this happens almost daily on our department. You know, they do 2 things. They people every day and they problem solve every day. And here's just an example of your officers going above and beyond what normally could have been in any other jurisdiction that, oh yeah, there's nothing we can do. So they see a problem and they attack it. So kudos to Matt Smith. And I promise not to say his name, but Sergeant John Eggers was instrumental, and the other staff members as well. So something that's kind of on the front burner right now with our community is officers, okay? And I want to tell you about our application process. And Kathy's doing a fantastic job as far as our application process. But we use a site called the National Testing Network. And I welcome you to go Google it, National Testing Network. You're going to see it. As of today, before I came here, there are 153 law enforcement jobs open in the state of Nevada. I'm sorry, state of Oregon, excuse me. 153 law enforcement jobs in the state of Oregon. There's a map on the national testing site that can show all the vacancies and who's hiring. The majority of these vacancies are in the Portland metro area. Because what I'm going to give you some numbers here. So right now, as I sit here today, we've been advertising for our 2 vacancies that council approved, and that was 41 days ago. We have 9 completed applications. 9 completed applications. So 68 people have applied, but unfortunately, they didn't fulfill all the requirements to get, for us to actually interview them. Regardless, we understand there's a sense of urgency. Lieutenant Hogue is heading this up along with Captain and members of our department. We're going to schedule an oral board for these 9. But realistically, what we're seeing as a pattern across the nation, again, 153 vacancies in the state of Oregon, nobody's immune. Council has said it before, that we've seen a steady decline in applications for the St. Helens Police Department. Realistically, again, is that we probably won't get 9 to the oral board, but we might get 7, and we'll see what happens. One thing, again, our officers are the absolute best recruiters we have. They are the #1 recruiters. So I have officers approaching me, I might have a lateral, and of course, we all want laterals because it's a very easy plug and play. But one of the things one of the officers looked into was that our fitness test. So for them to complete the application process on this website is that they have to do a cover letter of interest, they have to take a written test, and they have to have a resume and pass the Oregon fitness standards, the ORPAT it's called. So in researching this, that test is offered in 2 locations in the state of Oregon, Klamath Falls and Salem. So what we have decided to do was we're going to forego that test. We're gonna put that on hold, allow individuals to come here, interview, and then if they pass the interview, then we'll administer a fitness test to get them ready for the academy. So we have to, the question we always ask is, okay, what are we doing different? Because we can't just say, oh, 9 people only applied. Now, we just made that change 2 weeks ago. So realistically, we don't have enough information right now to know if it's successful or not. But they still have to pass that test when they go to the police academy to pass. So out of those 9 applicants, just to paint a picture for everybody, 4 are from out of state. Okay, 1 is a lateral from Montana, out of state. 2 are from Washington, 1's from California. 3 are local in St. Helens, and the rest are, 1's in Portland, 1's in Clatskanie. So we're not saying no, we're just saying that we're seeing this pattern, that everybody is. In Columbia County, okay, and I credit the Rainier Police Department because they were looking, but they removed their application. So now you have 3 agencies within Columbia County also, that are looking for officers. But, that doesn't deter us, it doesn't discourage us. We're just gonna keep going and continue to do the best we can, with what we have. But again, the reason I bring this up is that regardless of, what's faced, the officers, the men and women continue to show up every day, continue to deliver excellent service to our residents, and very proud of that. One other thing I want to talk about is that everybody's aware of it is House Bill 110, the decriminalizing narcotics in the state of Oregon. As you know, they had there's a bill waiting to sign on Governor Kotek's desk that's going to amend that. And basically, in the most elementary way to explain it is the new bill now gives officers discretion that they can arrest for the low-level narcotics offenses, or they can deflect those individuals if they voluntarily want to go to treatment. So the good news about our county is last week we had a meeting with county commissioners, Sheriff Pixley, myself, the district attorney, and Todd Jacobson, who's the executive director of CCMH. So right now, and I don't want to speak for Todd Jacobson, right now our county doesn't have the capability to deflect into a drug treatment program. So I'm gonna just say that, but the good news for our residents or for council is we're getting in front of this early and we're starting to collaborate to come up with the best solutions for our county. So, because again, our goal in this is not to punish. We are here to correct behavior and get people help. So that's all. So it's a lot of moving parts, but I'm most happy that we're collaborating as a county together before even the bill is signed, because Governor Kotek hasn't signed it. So that just brings us one step closer to a solution. I don't have all the answers. I don't want to misspeak and say anything. I'm just saying that we have a seat at the table, and it's actually, it's a good thing. So, and that's really what I have. I figured you probably might have questions about whatever. So I'm here to answer any questions, comments, concerns, but I will tell you that, again, I say it, I'm like a broken record. I am amazed daily what these officers do. From our own incident in St. Helens to assisting an outside jurisdiction with a high profile crime to the run of the mill things that we continue to do and collaborate to just make this community. And I don't want to say city, I want to say community, because crime knows no border. So hopefully that wasn't a whole lot. Or Other questions?
The applications you got, how many were lateral, just one?
Well, at this time, we have one lateral but our officers, you know, they're trying. I can tell you that. Again, I stand by this, our best recruiter, because they know what it takes. And I've said this many times before, is that it takes a certain caliber officer to work in our city. Go back to this. It starts with the hiring process. Counselor Tilton, you were on the last
I was
one.
gonna say, I encourage you guys to sit in because the things that they have to go through and the questions that are asked is mind blowing. If you thought the ride along was good, I'm telling you, you know.
Yeah. Thank you for the invitation.
No,
That was great.
you're welcome. Glad to see it. The officers appreciate it because they get to showcase and see. It's easy for me to sit up here and kind of say this, but until everybody sees it firsthand. But the process starts at the absolute hiring. And to me, that's the absolute most important part. You cannot sugarcoat it. We have to get the right individual for this community. And we don't want the revolving door. We want to make sure we have that selection because we're going to invest as a city into this individual. And that's where it starts. And then the programs and processes we have implemented together collaboratively as a department does where we have the accountability, the training. You know, we just can't say, okay, here's the keys to your car, go ahead. We have to, you know, it's supervision. Everything falls into play in this. Okay, which again, that's a product of our systems that we have, you know, and successful. We're absolutely not perfect. We always have room for improvement. We always, you know, do assessments. What can we do better? What can we build upon? But it starts, you know, with the hiring process. So you might be asked by Lieutenant Hogue to sit on the board if you can, because we just don't want police officers making this decision. This is a community decision. So, but he's heading that out. So. You're okay.
Questions for me?
Oh, okay.
You had to hear from me a lot lately, but I just want to thank you for the good work that you do. Thank you for the high expectations. I know you've admitted to me you have high expectations, but I think it shows that it pays off. And I would encourage everybody to look at this report. It's an eye opener, realize all that goes on. The many things that we don't hear about, the number of calls that come in and the things that our officers respond to. So thank you for your good work and thank you personally for being responsive to me when I reached out and requested a meeting, and appreciate that you have an answer and you tell me this is why I think it should be like this. And just like I say, the last year's been eye-opening for me and I've learned a lot. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Let your officers know I appreciate them too.
Absolutely. Every day I tell them I'm grateful for them, and it's not me. I'm easy. All I do as a chief or a head of an agency, I just say we're going this direction, start rolling, and it's the people bottom up. And I think collaboratively as a city, we're better that way. But that's just, you know, I don't want to talk about everything. So.
You know, Chief, I'm extremely proud of you. I think maybe we should put a golden statue of you, you know, out in the courtyard. I think you stand up there tall, so I'm just saying. But have you had any updates on the report writing program?
Yes. So what we're actually, I talked to Sergeant Eustace, so we are again in partnership with the sheriff's office. We are waiting on hardware to implement it. So you know, and I want to dive into the budget committee, but I'm prepared for that. Sergeant Eustace is his project. He's really technology savvy, and he's meeting right now with CCOM about other things we have. He has regularly scheduled CCOM meetings about operational radio issues and procedures. So I will tell you that the last meeting I had with him, we are probably going to save $20,000. So, but in our world, in government, and again, I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds, sometimes we have to estimate in case. But it looks like we're going to save $20,000 between the sheriff's office and us partnering together on this. So we are looking to go live with this new report writing system. Hopefully, if everything falls in line, November 1st of 2024. Again, just a reminder, the report writing system we have now is antiquated. It's very cumbersome. And this will allow us, because council approved this, and we are so appreciative of this, this will allow our residents to get better service by reducing the redundancy in report writing and reducing the time our officers are at jail, and we're going to be able to interface and talk to each other. What I'm excited about, and kind of in a weird way, is I'm going to be able to mine information that we're going to further be able to problem solve. When I talked about Detective Sergeant Matt Smith fixing the problem here, now if we have an address or a location that we can continue to go to, I'm going to be able to say, okay, here's a spreadsheet. What is our problem at this location? How do we fix this? Our goal is not to continue, just continue going back and forth. Our problem is to work with whatever it is to work with to fix the problem. So report or records management system is going to give us that capability. So
So is it just not set up? Is that what the
it
issue is?
just, it takes, Mayor, it takes a long time to get, we have to work with our IT folks. We have to work with getting the hardware. And we just have to get it, housed. So there's a lot of, it's just, as much as I want to say we could just take it off the shelf of Best Buy and just, download it on computer, we can't. There's a lot of moving parts. The good news is we still have the capability of the report writing system we have now. And when we end, there's no delay in this. We knew going into this, it was going to take this time because it really is a lot of interfacing. So to the point where all the data we have in our current report writing system, we are not going to migrate to the new one because we thought it was going to be easy, but then we knew it was going to be a lot of errors. So we're going to continue the read-only access in this database, and eventually 10, 15 years, this will become obsolete. And then we're just going to have everything over here. So you want to say, oh, okay, well, I have a news database. I want to take all this information. The technology has not caught up to be able to push a button and go, okay, down, transfer. So, and to get everything right, we would actually have to have an individual go through, and we just don't have the staffing for that. And it's just too cumbersome. So, but we have a plan moving forward, but there really, to me, is not a delay. It's just how it was when we signed up for this. But kudos to council in two things. One, in trusting your police department coming forward and saying, this is a challenge if we do this. And two, the fact that, the sheriff's office is partnering with us. It is a win-win for our community. So
how many academies does Oregon have right now? Is it Salem and Klamath Falls or just one?
no. Oh, this is a fitness test.
Okay, but how many academies do we have?
Oh, police academies? They have one in Salem. So when we hire an officer, we cannot schedule, we have to schedule with the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training, DPSST in Salem. We say, we hired this officer, we have to schedule a date for that officer to start the academy. The state has gone and increased the amount of classes because of the 6 months backlog. But realistically, we're probably 3 to 4 months backlog still. But correct, it is. So when we hire an officer, what we do is, and I'm sure all the other agencies do, we start them in field training, not so robust as somebody who knows the laws, but we start indoctrinating them to our culture, our community involvement, our community, so they know right off the step, this is the expectations, okay? And this is how we treat our citizens and how our citizens treat us, frankly. It's a fantastic relationship we have. And so after they get a scheduled date, then they start the academy 16 weeks in the academy. They graduate, they come back here, then they start their, if I quote unquote, official field training, where we start documenting, and improvements and areas they need to work on. Our goal is not to wash anybody out. Our goal as a police department is to make them as successful as they can be. Again, I go back to our success rate has been back to Lieutenant Hogue, Sergeant Cassiel, everybody, and council selecting the right individual. The challenge, what really you go, oh man, this is that we only are going to have 9 to select from right now. Okay, so hopefully out of that 9, hopefully, and it could happen. I mean, it could happen. Hopefully, we can find 2 qualified candidates that fit our mold. So
One other question, and then I guess a comment after that would be the lateral from Montana, can they just lateral in from other states?
if they lateral in from Montana, if they're a certified peace officer, they fall within the realms of what we consider a lateral. That's all, our human resources have. This is what we consider a lateral. Is that, yes, they can come here. They would have to take a 2-week class down at Salem. They don't have to go through the whole 16 weeks. They have a 2-week class. The department, the academy in Salem has that class once a year. So what would happen is if we hired him, usually it's in the fall. If we hired him and we can, and he comes here and makes the decision, he would then hopefully go to the fall class. We would still put him through field training because Montana, we don't know what he's coming here with. And we need him to, fall in with our standards and our understanding. So it is not, that would be the lateral, but trust me, Officer Coy, Officer Cutright, I'm being approached. They are out there. They are recruiting daily. They are trying to get officers to come over here. We have a lot to offer, and truth be told, we have a lot of improvements, but we're working on that. So it's not doom and gloom, but the trend for council to understand is for the past 5 years, it's been trending down on the applicants. But again, to your point, Mayor, everybody is trending down. 153 law enforcement jobs open in the state of Oregon is alarming to me, because I'm like, wow. And then again, I invite you to go to the National Testing Network. There's a map there. You can see all the agencies that are applying on there, and we're on there as well. So, and that's just the agencies that use that database. I'm sure there's agencies out there that don't even subscribe to the National Testing Network, but I can't speak for them, so.
So, and then Measure 110.
Yes, sir.
Was brought up by the, mayor's conference last year, and we actually lobbied the league to get this going as far as, getting more restrictions on what it was supposed to be intended for, was to force people into rehab. That's what we all thought as voters. And we found out after we passed that it wasn't the case. So it sounds like, they're giving you as officers more discretion in this. And that's what we need. We need to know that, you know, sometimes in jail is, the nudge from the judge is the right opportunity or right path for some people.
I wholeheartedly agree, won't argue that. I mean, it's, but it gives the, like you said, the discretion to the officer to arrest or to deflect when that comes
I
in.
don't know if you heard public comment earlier.
I did not.
Okay, it's interesting. We just heard in public comment, Robin Toski, say she's willing to suspend the LUBA for 45 days with an acknowledgement that we could have done some things better. That potentially, it sounds like the site could still be on. I don't know.
I cross my fingers, but that's good news. So,
About that.
right, I agree with you.
It's like, I just want a police station. I don't
Well,
care.
And I was asked Mackenzie if we could build today, we do that. And I know you sat through a lot of meetings with John Walsh, David Lentz,
Right.
Mackenzie, yourself. If that could, we could still meet that 12.6 million. They said yes, if we could start.
Right, which is perfect timing. And again, not to, is that we have a lot of challenges with our current station. You know,
Oh,
yeah, as you know, and I mean, and not just what we, it's just,
they like that site, but I don't think they heard that from, it was private land that was in Mackenzie's. It was the fire district, and then the electrical building was not even owned by the fire district, so.
right, we understand that, so.
So very interesting. It just happened, not even an hour ago.
That's awesome. And I will go back and share that. Yes, sir.
Would you still like to see the site there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. For a couple of reasons I was mentioned, not to be selfish, is what the public doesn't understand, if you haven't been in the building recently, is that we have a lot of challenges. And I'll just share this with you. Our first challenge, we don't have any space. And I'm not talking about evidence. I'm talking about,
200 square feet.
well, right, but I mean, we don't have a place where officers can change their
I know.
or keep their equipment. So we're gonna add 2 more. You know, and again, I'm not gonna delve into the budget committee, but I'm coming up with some solutions.
So Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, though, we did an ad hoc committee with that.
Yes, sir.
You gave tours of the police station for
Yes.
about a year or
Yes.
plus. Ad hoc committee, which had various members, from.
Through the community.
the Community.
Yes.
Started with 10 sites, narrowed it down to 4. Originally got it down to 2, and the officers themselves picked the Castro Road site.
Correct.
Even though we thought, you know, the Holton was the better location, but it just seemed like, well, okay, let's go with that because we own the property too.
Exactly, that from my, yes, recollecting back there was that site was selected because we own the property, future growth, so we didn't put our great grandchildren in this.
I see our attorney popped up, so I just want to ask, Bill, was there something that? we
Yeah,
should-
thanks, Mayor. Yeah, the reason I turned my video on is I wanted to make sure the council is aware that this land use action on the police station is still a current action that could come back before the city council for review. I want to make sure you don't have any conversation about the merits of the site that could require change, et cetera. I think you're going to have to declare some potential ex parte contacts should you reopen the hearing at some
Okay.
point in time. So I just want to remind you of that and ask you not to go too far so that you don't have a great amount of detail that you need to declare later on.
Okay, I was just stating facts of meetings that have happened publicly. So that's all I was just going down and that potentially there could be a suspension on it, but I appreciate you stepping in and keeping us on the right side, Bill.
Yeah, you're welcome, Mayor. And I just wanted to make sure it didn't go further into comments about the merits of the the location and the criteria.
Okay, yep. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the
I
update.
apologize by saying Nevada. My daughters are watching me and they're excited I'm on TV, so, and which is really nice. Sorry.
I was gonna thank you for the report and also thank
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith as he walks out the door for his great work. Not only the, the work with this changing the stalking laws, which is commendable, but the, all the work that we've been doing on this justice grant and working through this federal system, trying to get the increased investigation tools. It's been a real journey.
It has been. We're ready to pull the trigger on that. So we have a grant that's gonna help us further our investigation on electronic equipment. So Matt's been spearheading that with Mr. Walsh, and we're looking to get that up and running, and it's really going to impact our crime in our community. So and it's perfect timing because the sheriff's office, from my understanding, has an examiner that's about to retire, and then we will be able to pick this up, and we'll have a primary and a backup person to do that. So again, that I'm very thankful for that. That we have that federal funding. So. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, water leak adjustment request for 335 South River Highway. John, and then we'll do the other one, which is.
Yeah, we don't have these, but usually more than a couple times a year. We've got
I know.
one meeting here. Two very exciting water leak adjustments.
Must have been from the freeze, huh? That's what I'm guessing.
Sure, it could have been. It's about that
Yep.
weather window.
Yeah.
The first one is 335 South Columbia River Highway. The owner had a leak over 3 months in a running toilet. And as soon as they found out about it, they paid their bill. Then they realized their bill's, $400 or $500 a month, and accumulated, and they were requesting a full leak adjustment. And all the information about having the correction is made in the packet there. The toilet fixed it. And that one is $1,623.87. The council's policy is that anything over under $1,000 is handled administratively. Anything over adjustments proposed over 1,000 comes to you now. That's one for discussion now and a work session action item later in the evening. Okay. Evening session. The next one is 235 First Street, very familiar Masonic building that the city leases. Similar story, the leak was found within the month and fixed pretty expeditiously, but it was inside the meter. It's between the meter and the building. They made a temporary repair right away, and they came back and made the repair, final repair. And the city leases that building. The adjustment is $2,250.26. That's about what there's to say about that.
Any questions for John on that? Okay, let's go ahead and go on to our next item then, which is discuss this disposition of Luba appeal. City Planner Jacob Gretchen.
Yeah, so we talked this a little bit before, just another refresher. The LUBA process allows this 90-day limbo period, which we took, and we are very close to the end of that 90 days, basically next week. And you.
Public comment from the.
I did.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure.
And I spoke to legal counsel about that before this meeting.
Okay.
So that, I think, is probably the recommended approach. Now that I know it's something that we can do. When I first heard about it, I wasn't sure. But now that I talked to the right people, okay. So I think the recommendation would be to request legal counsel to submit the 45-day delay to allow a little bit more time for dialogue. That's the recommendation after speaking to the legal counsel earlier. Just to be thorough about the other things you could do, as you weigh things, you could say, well, we just want to fight. We just want to fight based on the record that we have today. Or you could say, you know what? I'm just gonna withdraw the application and start over. But for now, the recommendation is to go with that 45 days by time and see where we end up.
Yes. Yes, see what that looks like. Interesting.
Now, if
To me.
Now, if you want more feedback in executive session, we may be able to
It should be criteria.
get the right attorney in the room. Just with, based on the dialogue, I'll let them know I figured it'd be between 4 and 5. If you were so inclined. That's it, unless you have questions.
I don't think anybody has any questions. Russ, I know you're I forgot you were on there, Russ. I know, I want to apologize too, but Counselor Hubbard is on Zoom. He's not feeling well.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry.
No, I don't have any questions. I think putting the waiting time is fine.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll go on to our next item. Thanks, Jacob. Update on the River Walk project. Community Development Project Manager, Jenny Dinshow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I am very elated to come to you tonight with a recommended bid amount from Advanced Excavating Specialists LLC out of Kelso. We received 4 bids, and you'll see that in your packet. They were all around 3 million. Advanced Excavating came in just under 3 million. So we're really excited to move forward with them. Our engineering team has experience working with them in the past. So we're happy to find a contractor who, number one, is the lower bid, but also is good to work with. So I'm here to just talk about that. It's on for your regular session tonight to move forward with contracting. The contract we would expect to be not your first meeting in April, but your second meeting. And then notice to proceed is sometime in May with a 1-year construction cycle.
You were gonna share an image?
Sure, yeah, they've seen that. So
But let's just do it for, public, I mean, the only thing that's going away is the stage, so to speak. Right? I mean, out of the original plan.
and the playground is gonna stay.
Yes.
This is the amended version.
Yep. Yeah, so back in January, we came to you with this revised site plan and asked to move forward with a full redesign, just omitting those 2 components to bring the project down to the $3 million budget that we have. We also heard from you at that meeting that you wanted some outreach about why that is. And so I've been working with Crystal to prepare a press release that will go out tomorrow pending your approval tonight that describes the different grant funded sources for this project and how they focus on the Riverwalk component specifically. And so I think we heard you that is something you want in our outreach materials, just to describe that process. Crystal and I are also including this site plan, so it'll go out in our waterfront e-newsletter, it'll go on our social media. There'll be a small blurb in our regular newsletter referring them to the e-newsletter for the waterfront construction.
The construction would start in May.
Yeah, so I spoke with the contractor, we're not in contract yet, so we don't have a construction timeline yet. But they had requested, our original notice to proceed was gonna be in April. They requested June, and I said, what about May? So we've had just preliminary conversations about that.
Trying to beat the weather and stuff, right?
Yeah, I think they want things to dry up a bit before they get in there.
How long is it gonna take, or like, what's the ballpark?
1 year. So May to May.
Okay, though, this is part of, gonna be part of discussion, so.
That's why I started
yeah.
asking those questions, because
And so I'm on a future agenda item here, so.
Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, the park work area
is everything that's colored in this site plan. So the kind of grayed out area, the contractor is protecting those areas. You know, we want to protect the playground. The existing stage is not going to be demoed as part of our contractor's work. But I know there has been discussion with our crew, you know, our own crew doing some of that work.
Will be gated and things like that, though.
Yeah, there'll be security fence
in
in
those areas.
Yeah, but I can say that a contractor is gonna be very leery if you wanted to try to host an event that close to a construction site, just the liability of that. I don't think we wanna navigate people down to this site. But you know, that's outside my.
Just thinking and asking all the questions and trying to
Sounds good, talk
envision
about
it.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, and clearly we have construction right now, even on the elevated picnic area right now. There's impacts along the Strand parking area. You know, that's all within the streets and utilities project scope, so.
Construction vehicles and dumpsters and things like that, that will be on site, yeah. Stuff to think about, but we're happy about this. Good job. We're just thinking.
Yep, for sure, you're trying to solve another problem, I understand, yeah. Any questions about tonight's approval?
It's just a more general statement about the strategy here is rather than have one thing completely torn up in one area, we're trying to get it all done. And just so we don't have the disruption of having to finish Riverwalk and then we do the
That's
park
been the
and
game.
then it's all torn up.
That's been the game plan for a couple of years now.
Have to.
Well, and this project is funded with a grant, which has a timeline. So it's not like we can postpone it, like we have to.
Three separate grants, yeah.
So we gotta get it done.
Yep.
It's a more intense impact, but it's a shorter duration, so.
Yes. Yep. Okay, thank you so much, yes. Good work. Is Will Bill online? Or is he just not here? Okay, well, so, you know, he came to us and this looks like it's maybe just a discussion. I figured he would be here. About the Flying Eagle.
Did you invite him here?
I just thought he would be here. So that was brought up and we're talking with Crystal, how hard would it be to do the Survey Monkey and promote just a little something for the public to have their input and see if they want, you know, to set the eagle free, so to speak. You know, is it something that's very valuable to the citizens? Or do they want to see people enjoy it? So that would be a nice little thing to do a campaign on, just to see about showing it. We'd have to put up a surplus property. If the answer was yes, it would not take a bunch of work because there's already a bunch of information around it. So she just have to gather it and put it up.
Was he proposing to buy it? I thought he just wanted to use it for a couple of
Well, he
years.
wants to use it, but there's a lot of liability and stuff that goes into that, and I don't think that's in the city's best interest.
Yeah,
to
we
do
can't,
that.
yeah, it's always the insurance issue and him owning it around and stuff, so. There was talks about it being art down in the park and
We talked about putting it in the park before.
then if we didn't drill holes in it, it would have to have glass over it, so it didn't fill up with water. But this would be one way of finding out. People. We've had a parks commissioner show up, Howard Blumenthal, they free it, so.
We sell it, if we quote unquote sell it to them, it's for any price, right?
It's what?
Any price, like we,
Well, it just, yeah, it would be just for surplus property and whoever was the highest
Yeah.
bidder on it would get it. Yep.
His request was to take it from April 4th to October 31st and return.
Oh, so that'll be,
That was his request from the last meeting on that kind of handwritten note that he distributed. From a risk management perspective, I have a lot of concerns about that. You know, he's, talking about his $2 million recurrence. And, the liabilities could,
be more than
it's a wooden canoe that doesn't have any kind of certification or
I was
documentation.
gonna say, that is not certified by the Coast Guard.
Inspecting it, nobody's, doesn't have any kind of a safety protocol whatsoever, but it does have a lot of miles on it, but.
yeah,
Well, and I understand where a lot of people are coming from. It's literally sitting, in a city lot somewhere covered with a tarp, so it's not being used. So, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm in favor, and my vote on the Survey Monkey is gonna be just give it to Willow Bill. Let him have a canoe, free the flying eagle. But we'll see what people say, and I think it's a good way to try to get community input. Counselor Sundin and I were talking a little bit about it, and he was thinking that a lot of people aren't gonna know how to answer it, yeah, so that might be interesting to see what happens.
I think it's not doing us any good sitting under tarp. I think we talked about this before, but if you put it in a park out in the open, you maybe get 10 years out of it and then it's gonna be trash, so I'd like to see it go somewhere where they can put it to use. And
One thing that the Port of Calamitous did with their, they have the totems, the cluster of totems that's been there forever. And one of the biggest one they took down, restored it, and this big timber market that they built on their waterfront next to the ferry terminal and a lot of other cool stuff they got going on. They actually incorporated it into the building, and they can hang it up so you can see it inside the building. It makes me think of a spot we have or could have in the future that could display it, put it on display. We talked about the library at one point.
We could just make a table out of it, put it right there. We did every meeting.
I don't think Lisa would appreciate that. Everybody else who has to move.
Well, it's really heavy, it's cumbersome.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why it probably should be floating down the river and not a liability to the city in any way, shape or form.
Maybe we can like hang it in a building too, that's an option, it's to hang it if people wanna keep it really, but.
Wait and see what the survey says.
So we're gonna send out a Survey Monkey, right, that's what we're thinking?
Yep.
On our
Sooner
Facebook
than,
page or
sooner
social
than
media.
later, it has to be a quick one because we'd like to have it by next meeting.
Remember that there could be thousands of votes out there too.
Well, what are the questions are the alternatives to surplus it or to
To keep it, and
What
just
if
keep
the
it stored and not, yes, keep
Don't
it
say
stored.
I mean surplus it, that is what we're doing,
Yeah,
but
for
free
sure,
yeah.
legal, I like that.
Free the eagle or keep it tarped and stored. Comes out once or twice a year. No, once a year, tops.
store it for seasonal use?
And just those two options, right?
Yeah.
Survey.
Well, and we still have the issue of Willow Bill wanting to use it.
Yeah. Well, we know, we've been down that route though. We cannot legally, CIS will tell us no.
Yeah, they never responded to me yet, so it's a
But-
huge
but
liability.
we know from dealing with CIS, like John said, it's not certified, it's not, it's carved, we have. Yeah, I don't see them approving that. All right. Okay, our next item is discussion on 13 Nights on the River venue during construction. Tina, you wanna come on up? So the reason I was able to want to put this on is because administratively, in my position, I oversee public works and administrative with Jessica. And I just know that what we're gonna have going on down here is we're gonna have a bunch of construction going on in front of the Strand Street and the park. And then I also believe the county's gonna be working on their elevator and have that section. And then the county's also working on the old school. And then we also have the First Street intersection that's gonna be under construction. We are even questioning where our city staff are gonna park on those days. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, how are we going to allow vendors to come in starting at 2 o'clock on a Thursday? When the contractors can legally go till 7 o'clock at night. And they're gonna be right in front of the Strand here, hammering or digging or whatever. We're gonna ask them to clean up at noon and then, or start prior to noon every Thursday for 3 months. And where's all the parking gonna be? So that's why I wanted to have this discussion. There's a lot of different things and I can see the community being very upset at us as leaders. And I foresee that. Now, if I didn't have this discussion with you, it would fall back on me and us. Because they see me as apparently the head of the city, and it's a 3-5 vote that runs. That's why I just wanted to open up this discussion. So, and I don't know what input you have.
Well, you and Tina have obviously talked about it, right?
Not too
Is that
much.
why you're?
No, remember I just said last meeting, I said we were thinking about other options, and I wasn't trying to blindside her, I made her aware of it.
Tina, what's your thought?
Well, the plaza is not gonna be being used. I checked with Casey and with Riley, and both of them said, no problem, we're not going to be using the plaza at all. That would be my choice because they're operationally, it is very difficult to go to McCormick Park. There's permitting, fencing, lack of power, vendor control, security, relationship for parking, there's limited parking there. There's just a lot of things that are very difficult to navigate there in that location, as well as where the stage is. From like the stage to the gazebo, as you know, most people dance like in front of the bands. You would basically have to contract that space really close to the band. There wouldn't be dancing probably at all because of the
There's
location.
actually a bigger dance floor,
I was just thinking the square would probably have the same issue though. I feel like it would be really condensed if we do it in the square.
Well, the square actually is more square footage than the Strand area is.
With it being rounded like that, because
Yeah.
the seating, if you think about it, people are able to sit all the way up, so it's spread out a little bit more. If we put it out here, we'd have to put a stage and then like chairs or blankets.
Well, people would bring their own chairs like they do now.
Right.
A lot of people bring their own lawn chairs and things like that. I think that space is adequate for the vendors and the bands. The other thing that I'm looking at is the number of people that walk here versus the number of people that drive down here. And the walkers far exceed the drivers. And we only know that because we keep track of the cars that park down here when we have free parking.
So that was actually not true though, because I ended up parking back here a number of times.
Yeah, I mean, people can still park there.
But there's gonna be Connex boxes back there, there's gonna be construction going on back there.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you what to do, but we have actually researched McCormick Park because I knew I wanted to make sure that we had a good discussion here. So I've had our engineers, and I wish I could pull this up on the big screen. John, do you have the availability to share your screen?
They can send it to Kathy.
Yeah,
I mean, I just off the top of my head, I can tell you, I have no doubt that McCormick Park will work for this event because we do it with Citizens Day. I just don't know if it is if, thinking about some of the public comment that's been made, if we have given downtown our best effort before we say we can go to McCormick Park, because I feel like we know McCormick Park will work. But have we tried everything we can down here before we do that? That's all.
I personally tried to look at it as closely as I could, and I couldn't even find, because this over here is gonna be tore up completely, the whole front of it. Okay, so by the time the vendors pull their truck in their trailer or their truck with a tent, and they go park behind the Masonic building, where is the rest of the parking downtown? Because you got the intersection being done, you got the elevator being done, you've got the old school being done, you've got the Strand, and you've got the park. I'm just saying, all those projects are going to be happening. They will be happening, I guarantee it. I already checked on it, and I know administratively that it would be. You're gonna have contractors down here, and the liability with open trenches and machinery going if people don't obey caution tape or whatever, and you have a bunch of children down here that fall into a trench. You don't think that would, you
Well,
don't,
I mean, that's another topic altogether because they can come down anytime.
Okay. I mean, so you just, yeah, but you just, yeah, and I get
When you
that.
said that, I'm like, oh my gosh,
So,
so.
yeah, you were shaking your head, and part of that, you know, I mean, we're trying to have a discussion, and so I don't do this to you when you're talking.
I mean, I
And
just,
give a look, I don't.
okay, I just came from a massive construction project and I was just thinking,
This is just a discussion on
it's possible for kids to fall into a trench. They will. It won't even matter if it's 13 nights, they'll be falling into a trench.
Right.
There's no question in my mind about that, because kids run ahead, parents don't watch.
Now, what are your biggest concerns with McCormick Park?
Here we go.
Okay, well, you know, the OLCC will require, of course, fencing, garbage service, the permits, how are we controlling the vendors in such an open, big space? The fact that the voters will not be coming in, that will definitely impact local businesses here. Local businesses don't even know we're really having this discussion, and the ones that do are already just really unhappy. The other thing that is really important is even the parking at McCormick Park. If there's softball games going on, or if there's, I mean, that's a big playground.
And there will
So
be.
there's a lot of
So
people.
that's why this parking is also engineered by our engineer department. We are working with the PUD on the power source with Peak Electric. We actually have SDC funding for that. We're doing this no matter what because of upgrades to our parks, the electrical piece. Because it has had a lack of power, but it will have power for the vendors. It will have parking with a crosswalk as put up here at the Farrer Building, and then it would also, like on Citizens Day, allow ADA parking to be in the parking lot. And the vendors in the vendor row of the park, I don't know if that scrolls up to the parking lot a little bit better. It does, Kathy, if you can scroll up just a little bit. So the whole to the bathroom there, or the gazebo, that's actually a gazebo, which could be a beer tent on the opposite side of the stage. And fenced
Yeah,
pretty
OLC
easily.
requires to build, she'll have to build.
It
a
could be
garden,
fenced
get it
fairly,
permitted.
yeah, it could be fenced right up to the.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all money. You know, you can do anything if you have unlimited funds.
Well,
There's no question.
yeah, well, we could also be sued for millions of dollars down here with any one of these construction projects.
Well, I mean, I'm not thinking we would even use anything on this side of the. This would be just the plaza,
Okay, where am I gonna park?
wherever you normally park. I mean, most of the people that come to 13 Nights walk.
How often do you update the OLCC permit for the beer garden?
What's that?
Is it an annual thing that you have to do?
No, it's with the sponsors. So the sponsors just will be jumping through hoops to have it in a location where you have people that can walk up to a fenced area and reach and go through the fenced area where they're serving alcohol. It's a,
You just take your fenced area from down here and bring it to the park?
no, we don't even need it down here.
I could have sworn there was a fenced area down here.
Well, there is, because naturally there was one there, and I'm just saying it's easier for us to block off this plaza that's small than it is to try to navigate that at McCormick Park. Are we gonna say you can't come here with your kids unless you're, you know, I mean, it's just way, way more complicated in McCormick Park. The other thing is that, of course, it's 13 Nights on the river. So we have contracts that are out stating that we're gonna be, you know, I just put, you know, plaza, I just put plaza on the contract so that we had some flexibility with not rewriting all the contracts and resending them out for the bands and the vendors. Something else that I don't know whether this, I don't know for a fact because we haven't tried this before, but other concerts in McCormick Park have not been well attended. And I don't know whether it's because people don't want to drive up there and drink and then get in their car and drive home, which thankfully I'm glad.
I feel like a lot of,
Do that.
there's a lot less residents in downtown than there is in uptown. I think people come from uptown down for the event, just from my, I feel
Yeah,
like
I think a lot of people walk. That is my observation. A lot of people just, as you know, drop their kids off down here. So now they're gonna drop their kids off at a park where it's huge and we have no way to control it. And then we'll get blamed for everything that happens. There's
there's
no.
softball already happening there on Thursday night. I know it.
That's what I was
because I'm
gonna
there.
ask.
So,
Yeah.
So there would have to be something with like Shauna and Rex where they had, the parking in front of the softball fields that were designated for softball or something like that, but
And that's
it
been,
could be worked out. All of that could be worked out.
I'm just saying it's complicated.
Yeah.
It's very complicated.
And I hear what you're saying, and I think your concerns are valid, and I think the biggest concern and the part that saddens me is for the local business owners down here, right? That
They'll
it-
be in here, trust me.
Well, and I know, but that isn't gonna change the facts. That's the problem, is that we have facts and we have to keep it safe, and it has to be in the best interest of everybody,
Yeah.
not just people down here. And that's just that's
So
what
I mean, I know I can produce 13 nights in this plaza and we have the space to do it. And the county is supportive of us doing that. People will park just like they do for 4th of July. They park wherever they can, to get down here. And a lot of people walk, so probably 70% of our audience walks here. They don't
we have
actually.
to pay for a stage. We don't have a stage.
No, we have a stage. We have everything you can imagine. Yeah, we do have a stage.
how is it, are you talking about locking off the whole plaza here, like, and just having it right here, right?
Yeah.
So it would be contained right in this area. That works for me.
What does that look like though? I'm having a hard time picturing that.
Well, have you went to any Halloween activities where there were people doing performances on the street? Then that's where the performers would be, and then behind that, you just let people know you need to bring your lawn chairs like they do now.
The fencing part.
Like it. Well, it would just be, it's so much easier to manage because you've got a natural street there where you can have very simple fencing. The same with the one-way in over here by the county courthouse. And then we have fenced this off multiple times for other things.
I think it's workable.
Well, I'm just I wanted to hear from Counselor Hubbard too, because
Oh, yeah, I forgot who's there.
I just want to give him an opportunity.
Well, there's things like, the plaza is gonna be a dirt mess that's gonna have to be replanted, so there's a cost on that. So there are added expenses to doing this on down there. I think the safety of the community is important. There's so much going on, change happens, and I think it looks like McCormick Park can handle the cars, the people. Not 70% walk there. They come by their cars and walk downtown. So anyway, I'm sort of thinking McCormick Park might be a good temporary spot for 1 year.
And so my whole thing is just that, and I hear that you're trying to make this square work, and I get the businesses, I get it, all right? I'm a business owner too. And the facts are though that there could be even a trench going in right here
Yeah.
on that Thursday, that Friday, where there's a hammer going. And they're gonna come over and we're gonna be like, what are you doing? And this is gonna be so bad for the city, for us, who oversee you as a contractor and have put expectations on you to have a safe event. And we're trying to give you some forethought on the parking issue and the amount of construction that's gonna be going on down here. You're gonna have 2 county projects and 3 city projects within the immediate vicinity and no parking anywhere.
Yeah.
Parking has been actually restricted compared to what it was dramatically, even on our streets.
Yeah.
So like Crooked, Creek,
Yeah.
we brought that up. We are not gonna have any more in the Strand, because they're gonna have trenches in the, or in our.
I'm not thinking any
In our
longer.
parking,
burnt
in
down.
our parking lot, we're not even gonna have
I agree with you.
parking. They're tearing up that side over there right now because they're going to be putting in new infrastructure and asphalt. And it does, we are entitled to this as a community to have a nice waterfront. Okay? We are. We deserve to have a nice waterfront. It's been a long time coming. We have 1 year of construction. This is it. Next year, it's all put back together. You know, 13, you know, as perky as it sounds, we have. I knew all these, and I seen this, so I did some work with our engineering to figure out parking over there. I reached out to the PUD just because we have power issues for our own events. But they'll make sure that it was sufficient. They've already looked at your power needs down here and know exactly what is needed over there. We're gonna go to them April 1st, John and myself, and present to them about getting electrical there. And as quirky as it sounds, 13 nights on the creek. You know, it may not be on the river, it may be on the creek. We have storage over there for you to put in our parks. You can either park a trailer within a fence confinement, or we have a Connex outside of the Parks Department that has minimal stuff in it. And it has an A3 lock, which you probably have a key to, and can use that for storage. I have tried to check every box I could think of prior to having this discussion. And,
Well, I think we'll get broken.
how can we make it work down here? My first thing was, how could we make it work? Where is that aha moment? Because I don't want to see the business suffer. None of them.
Well, I think it's possible, but that's my opinion.
What I know is,
No.
what I know is you pick up that whole row right here for vendors. And then you have, not only that, you have a ton of people up here, and then you have that whole entire park spot. And if you actually were to come back up on Jenny's diagram there, and then you were to aerial from Google Earth and look at the top of this building here, clear out to the river, and go like this square footage, and then do that to the square. And put all those vendors and all those people and the band inside of this. And not interrupt First Street, because then the business owners are.
First Street's only one way anyway, upcoming. I mean, they're not allowing any parking at all, from what I heard in that.
So then you have First Street, that's not part of it, it's just a square. So you have the top area there, which was utilized all the way over to City Hall, and pretty much right where the playground is, right here. Over this way. And this right here is about the size of the square. And I know that because I'm a landscaper, and I just know by feel of area. That to the bottom of that, the amphitheater out is no bigger than this square, but you're gonna put all your vendors, your band, and all those people. And where am I gonna park?
Where do you do with, I mean, any of the events down here? I mean, the thing is, we take all the
told you, I-
permit places there.
Those weren't taken, which were probably about 100 spots.
No.
They weren't inside
No,
the fence.
we take photos to so we know how many cars are in.
Inside the fence was about 100 cars. I parked here for 3 years, Tina. It's
Well, we
close
have
enough to
pictures.
call it 100.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I'm just saying that typically they can't park here anyway, because the vendors are here.
And then a middle row with two wide.
Yeah.
And it's at least 25 deep. It's at least 25 long.
Well, I feel like Halloween Town is more spread out versus a condensed event. I mean, I've been down here during Halloween Town. People can kind of go throughout the whole downtown, which is what makes it so successful, is you can have a lot of people in this area. This is a little bit different because it's just like people are just coming for the concert and maybe some food and drinks in the same area. That's the only thing that concerns me, is I feel like because it's so condensed to that one area, I can't see it working out well in the square.
You could have a
Well, and
hammer going
everybody
there.
being comfortable
Any
and,
hammer
you
going.
know, like, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of complaints about it being people on top of each other.
Regardless of.
Well, yeah, that's true,
Yeah,
yes.
have lots of.
But at least if people could spread out a little bit, it's not gonna be as nice as being on the river, you know, it's just not, but.
like I said, it's the only year we're entitled to a nice waterfront. We're not making any decisions here. Is anybody, I know that over there is solid rock that we paid a lot of money for a trench that needs to get done. And we're not gonna ask them to stop hammering at 2 o'clock on a Thursday.
They don't need to.
And then if they wanna go till 6 or 7, because that's what the law allows,
Yeah.
they should be able to. And there could be hammering over here going till 7 o'clock at night. It's on a Thursday. Contractors work Monday through Friday.
Yeah,
We're gonna ask them to wrap up,
by 6.
wrap up and make sure everything's, taped off and everything.
Well, that's our responsibility, not
So-
their I mean, hopefully people are gonna be able to, I mean, this is the visual that's freaking me out a little bit. You're saying that basically downtown is closed. Once they start these projects.
Hold an event, and the only thing that is probably we could ask for would be the 4th of July because it shoots off the fireworks, and that would be a big ask them to clean up on July 3rd. But usually they don't work July 4th because prevailing wage, they just wanna celebrate Independence Day. But that would really be the only function that I see happening down here this year.
They park then.
And if we're lucky, we'll have it cleaned up enough to have Halloween Town here. And it's gonna happen here because this is where it's at, but what's that gonna look like? So why wouldn't we allow them to get their work done as fast as they can?
We're not interfering with their work. I mean, I absolutely.
It just would, when you're bringing traffic to a construction site, it slows it down, Tina.
There's no construction in the plaza, correct?
But there's construction.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna ask my construction guys to come down and tell me what I'm not seeing. I'm gonna ask our public works to come down, because I already reached out to them. What am I not seeing that Tina's seeing?
Well,
Trying to have an adult conversation about safety for our community and serving our community to the best of our ability and not affect our businesses, but unfortunately, our businesses downtown will be affected. Your vendors will actually do better there because there won't be other competition.
well, that's if we get people to go there. I have a fear of that too.
Sweetwater, I'm gonna watch all those nice bands, Delgado, why wouldn't I? It's free.
That's my concern. That is a concern of mine because we do have a lot of people that walk here for the concerts. A lot, and we're now asking them to get in their car and drive. Where parking may or may not be ideal, but they can still be dropped off and go park in the other lot, and then that person can walk over. I get that. It's
Just doesn't live downtown though.
I know, but no, just why it's so crazy that all of a sudden you walked him.
So I would just ask you to look at the site because we know from our from our Citizens Day in the park. How well it worked. And that's not why we're doing this, because it's always gonna be 13 nights in the river. It's 1 year, that's all we're saying, this year.
It's a lot.
It's a 3-month event.
Yeah,
This is a 3-month event. All right,
it's 13 days.
yeah, but it's 3 months.
Yeah,
Every Thursday, contractors work Monday through Friday. And work. If it was a Friday evening, we could maybe ask them to knock off at 3. But to ask contractors to stop, because citizens are gonna do that, and they're gonna get upset, like the paving that happened. Remember when the paving crew was down here for Halloween Town? With Northwest Natural, unannounced. You were all over it,
yeah, for sure.
okay?
Well, for-
So,
That's
and why did you do
not the
that?
same thing.
It's not the same thing,
No,
because they were outsiders,
what?
because they were.
I mean, it never,
13 nights is more of a community event. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure out why it's not the same thing.
well, they didn't actually block the streets. You could still cross the streets. The reason that we were trying to get them to stop was actually because of the dust and the noise and the.
All right, I'm gonna pull us back on task here. We got a lot of information. Tina, I respect where you're coming from and I thank you for bringing this to our attention. And I think now we're ready to hopefully make a discussion about it. That's
Well,
important.
I think, the reason I was looking at this is because, I am concerned about it and, it seems like we all should be concerned of this. And there's been a lot of work done around just proving how the other site could work, and I don't know where else you could put it, what, the Boise parking lot, Camel Park, maybe. Camel Park, maybe. But the parking's more limited there than it is here. And we thought about Thursday night softball. That's why this was created, and it's safe crossing going across our engineering department. Kathy, can you bring that back up?
They only uses the parking right in front of those.
I know, that's why we created this. It goes up, Kathy. And then also where the rec building is, there's parking spots too available. Yep. And then there's handicap. If you go follow the red line, there's enough for handicap and your vendors to park and have a vendor row. If you keep following that red line down, Kathy. Right there, you have a storage Connex box, or you can park a trailer inside of our parks department, whichever is needed, and the power will be there. And the stage and dance floor is bigger than what you have here.
Here's what I'll say. Let me say something. I think I would like to see it down here. I really would. I think it's doable down here, but I think it makes more sense up there.
So,
That'd be my preference too, I think, to see it downtown, but I just don't see it being feasible. I come to 13 nights, I know many people that come to 13 nights, and I've never seen anybody walk. I've never walked, I've never even thought about walking. So I do think parking would be a major issue. I also have the concern of the kids, the young people coming down here in droves. I think it's true, they could be down here any day of the week doing what they want, but you're not inviting them to come down here with huge crowds.
Yeah.
There's a playground there, you know, lots of kids that come to this thing. There's as many kids over on the playground as there are adults sitting at the venue.
I can see the parents dropping all their teenage kids off at the park, just like they do down.
They park there, it's already happening.
Skate park,
This difference.
there's a playground.
and I've been doing this work for the last 2 weeks, and I told you I wasn't trying to blindside you. I didn't have any information, but I knew that I could just foresee that there could be a disaster. And that's why when you were getting the report, I said, just want to let you know, because I ran it by a few other people real fast just to say, hey, right prior to the meeting, what's a 13 nights gonna look like down here? Has anybody thought about it? And
We didn't know when the project was
Yeah.
gonna start, so.
yeah, and I did because I oversee public works, so and I hope the businesses that are down here will watch this meeting, this discussion of this meeting. I did get a little emotional. I know Tina's trying to go to bat for you, and I understand that. And we're not gonna make a decision. If you have a better idea and you've listened to every fact that we have, other than that you just want to have it down here at all cost. If you have a logical reason why we should keep it here, please show up at our next meeting where we can do parking, how we can keep it safe, and nobody be upset about the construction going on in the event when it's happening, because it could potentially run an hour into it. By law, they have every right to go till 7 PM. The contractors behind schedule, they need to make hay while the sun's shining. That's just the name of the game. That's so. Okay. I mean, and
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait till the next meeting to do this. It's like, we have to, we're already very.
well, I hope you don't lobby people to our meeting.
I'm not, I
hope you
haven't.
don't lobby people to our meeting under misinformation.
I don't think we
Okay.
have the information for them right now.
We'll put this in a packet prior to, and I'll get some statements from our public works, and I'll get some statements from the county commissioners too. And put it in a packet prior to, I'll get it in a packet prior to, and we'll make it another agenda item with voting on it next.
At the
I will
next
do it.
council meeting, I understand you're saying it needs to happen quickly so that you know where it's gonna be so you can start planning. So I think it needs to happen priority.
Yeah, we got time. June, the first week of June.
Well, if she's gonna need to have if she's gonna have a new location, she's gonna need to make some adjustments, so we probably wanna give her a little bit of extra
So 3
time.
months, right? April, May, June. Yes. If we do April 3rd. April 3rd, and 13 nights starts when?
December,
13 nights starts in December.
yeah. That's the planning side. The operation side is huge. It's like, it is not a 25-minute gig.
Well, no, what I'm saying is the start date is June what?
The first Thursday in June.
Okay. So it definitely gives you a month. Or 3 months, I mean. And it's 3.5 months from right now.
Yeah.
Yep. So it'll be fixed. Okay, so we'll have. Like I said, if you come up with a logical, please contact me.
Well, to me, that is logical, so I'm not gonna change my mind about that, but I will do your bidding, if that's, if that's what you want.
I want to be able to come enjoy a venue where I can spread out if I need to.
Yeah,
Okay, and if I wanna take a walk with somebody, I can. Because
that's what I said, I'll do.
you can't. You can, when you had it down here, we could take walks and go that way or that way.
Yeah,
We can't, there's gonna be construction going that way, we can go this way, we can't go down to the riverfront. How are we gonna get down to the water? How are the boaters gonna get up at the ramp may have a temporary?
I
Because
don't
that
know.
whole,
I don't
the whole
know.
front of that area is getting a double pathway in front of the lighthouse. And it's 1 year, we're entitled to a good waterfront. I don't know.
I don't know about the boating scenario, I don't.
If I'm walking that way, they're gonna be working on the elevator, could have that all jacked up, so I can't walk that way. I can go that way. And then I can go through the alley, but I'm gonna walk through probably some, not construction, but at least all the vehicles parked back there for the county trying to finish up the old school. And probably you'll have your vendors parked back there too, that parking, cause they'll gobble up all the parking, the first parking available.
Yeah.
If there's parking even available, because our city staff might be back there actually, and the county staff could be back there.
Well, I mean, it's first come, first serve, probably.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like well, and these guys, it's the same too at the county. It's first come, first serve.
So McCormick Park has not only playground equipment for kids, it has also you can go play frisbee, you can play volleyball, you can actually, if you got tired of the concert, you could go up and watch softball this year. It sucks that businesses that have retail down here will miss out a little bit, quite a bit, so I heard those numbers, I did hear those numbers. But I also assume that you won't have the volume if you try holding it down here. And I think it'll be, mark my words, I think it'll be a big black eye on this council.
I wonder if there's a way that we could maybe give some type of a vendor option to those businesses to come and be a
That's a
vendor.
good idea.
I just hit my brain, I was thinking
That's a
about
good
it.
idea.
So that maybe that's an opportunity for them to get some of the revenue from 13 nights that we see. I don't know, just trying to be creative there.
That's a tough ask. for
Mayor, I
us.
suggest, any downtown business should get first priority for a free vendor booth at McCormick Park when they move up there. So that can be taken off the table and they would be up there represented. And if boaters need to get from the boat dock to there, use that tram we've got. It's parked in our shop now somewhere. To have them take the boaters up there, anybody downtown.
Yeah, that's a good idea. See? You guys are full of good ideas. All right, well, we're gonna put this back on the next agenda, okay? So that'll be actually 3 months and we need to make a decision that date though, no matter what, okay? All right, anything you come up with, Tina, please reach out to us, okay?
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
yeah. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take a break, 4 o'clock.
Have executive session?
We don't have to, because it could just be, probably should, maybe though, with that public.
Want to ask Bill?
I was
Yeah,
gonna say, do we even have the correct attorney available?
hey, Bill,
Yeah. So I
just-
think Jacob had, if we're talking about potential to have discussion of the LUBA on
yeah,
an executive session, I think Jacob has been in discussion with Jamie Housley. And Jamie, I know, has to be out of his office by 5 o'clock, so perhaps Jacob should be asked whether he's in communication with Jamie and has him on reserve. He probably has.
okay, so, well, we'll put your administrative report, I'm gonna take a 10-minute break, can you reach out to Jacob? And see if we can have, here's Jacob. We'll take a 10-minute break, Jacob, can we, will the attorney be ready by 4:30?
Yeah, we can let them know. If he's needed.
Bill is asking if you're in communication to get them.
Yes.
I think we would like to have them there if they can be available.
Okay, if we're gonna take a break, I'll send the communication.
The executive session, though.
Yeah, it's litigation, so.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Squarely within the local.
Yep, yeah, so, okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute break, resume at 4:15 here.
Like, dang it, I like to get mine out of the way early. Actually, I'm not gonna be there, so you gotta take my spot, John.
Make a report for you. To me, or are you absent?
I'm just gonna sit out. And I don't think there's a lot of improvement up there. Water fees.
First, you're open to say you're going into executive session, and Lisa will stick the stickies on it.
Okay.
Yeah. You know.
You have to adjourn this.
Well, if they volunteer you for something at something. Numerous times, but.
Wasn't.
We're gonna go out of it, we're
Accept the
going to
nomination.
recess, come out of recess, and then I'm gonna adjourn the meeting and put John's, announce that John's gonna do the report tonight.
Okay, just a minute.
We need Russ on camera.
I'm sick.
Okay, welcome back from recess. It is 4:17. We're gonna go ahead and move John Walsh's report till this evening. We're gonna go ahead and adjourn. We're gonna be going into executive session as previously announced. ORS 192.6602. That would be H, consulting with legal counsel and current potential litigation. So with that, we are adjourned.